So the Pittsburgh Steelers just got back-to-back good news. It's so nice to see, and whether it's good news or not, that depends on whether you want Aaron Rodgers to join your team or not. As you know, he remains unsigned, but Pittsburgh Steelers and owner and president Art Rooney II, he had some things to say about this, and he's really leaving some hints here. They're actually not hints, they're pretty clear here. He said that he keeps hearing, whatever that means, that everything is headed in their direction. We keep getting positive sort of signals about it. This is what Rooney had to say today at the annual league meeting. So yeah, I'd say we feel pretty good about it at this point. And one of those signs as well, I'm sure you guys have seen this, but I want to talk about it. Rodgers and new Steelers wide receiver DK Metcalf, they had a pretty extensive throwing session over the weekend in Cali, and photos and videos of the workout were just posted yesterday on social media. And to hear Rooney talk about it just a little bit more, I'd say it was a good sign that he wanted to do that. So, as you guys know, the Steelers started seriously pursuing Rodgers the second that the negotiation period before the official start of free agency started. And Rooney actually acknowledged that this isn't going according to plan. He actually said that he didn't envision this process taking this long. He's so vague sometimes, but he also declined to give a firm timeline of when he'd like to resolve the Rodgers situation. I mean, this is super annoying. And Rooney actually suggested that there's not a definite timeline at all, not forever, but for a little while longer. That's what he said when he was asked how long he intended to wait on Rodgers. And this is further backed up or not backed up by Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin. And before I get to that, I just want to welcome you to Sports Talk Steelers. I'm your host, Sean. It's been so cool growing this channel with you. Continue to come here for daily impartial kind of an outsider's view on your Pittsburgh Steelers. I'll be providing it on the daily. And if you're not a member yet, hit the subscribe button. Would love to have you. So let's get back to what Mike Tomlin had to say. And he was talking about training camp actually being the deadline. He talked about it as a line of demarcation for when having an incomplete quarterback position would actually hinder team development. I disagree. I think the earlier that he can get in with the team, the better, especially if these wide receivers can start having throwing sessions a little more extensively than what he had with this little one with DK Metcalf. But let's hear Coach Tomlin say it. In the spring, it's about teaching and learning and getting familiar with the players, making sure they're getting familiar with some of the things that we value. It's not an evaluation time of the year for us right now. It's certainly not a time of the year where we're focused on readying ourselves for game action. And this is also shared by GM Omar Khan. Rooney also said that the March meeting with Rodgers in Pittsburgh went well. As you guys know, last week he had a 6-hour meeting with the Pittsburgh Steelers and really good reviews from that. It was good to meet him, Rooney said. We talked about Pittsburgh and all the Pittsburgh coaches he's had over the years. We had a good conversation, but I guess it wasn't good enough for him to actually sign the contract. So this just isn't this is just certainly what's driving everyone nuts, right? It's building resentment among the fan base. I'm frustrated for you. And what was initially framed by the team as a Fields versus Wilson decision, it now leaves the Steelers just continually held hostage by this Aaron Rodgers decision. And Khan met reporters at the NFL league meeting yesterday, and this is his first public comment since the combine, and he's having these comments without really a starting quarterback in place. A lot of you absolutely love Mason Rudolph. I think he's very adequate, but he doesn't really move the needle as a guy that's you're winning games because of. But I think you can get through with him for this upcoming year. But here's what Khan had to say. It's free agency. I think we understand when you go into free agency, players have the opportunity to look at other things. We have the opportunity to look at other things, and things just sort of happen. It still sounds like it's still Rodgers or bust. It certainly doesn't sound like there's any type of urgency or demands made on the Steelers' part. Word is that Rodgers has been sitting on a contract for 3 weeks and running right now. There's also a rumor that he just got on a plane for a vacation to Mexico, so it looks like he's taking these negotiations really seriously. I don't know about you guys. I'm starting to get super annoyed for you guys. And the Steelers are now one of the only teams without an obvious quarterback in place, or a QB1 in place, or a path to land one early in the first round. And Rodgers becomes one of the only quarterbacks without a team, right? Yet 10 days since that meeting with Rodgers in Pittsburgh, the Steelers still don't have an answer. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous. He's taking his time on deciding whether he'll join the Pittsburgh Steelers, but the four-time NFL MVP, I guess he's doing his due diligence. I'm not sure what else he has to do because, as I already mentioned, that evaluation, it includes getting to know new Steelers wide receiver DK Metcalf. At least they had a throwing session together. Let's kind of talk about it a little more. It was at UCLA. And NFL insider Mike Garafolo, he reported on Monday, sources aware of the workout. He was talking with them, and it's another box-checking move by Aaron Rodgers after meeting with the team 10 days ago. And I'm not sure what to say about this that hasn't already been said. You're looking at, as you're getting closer to the end of this offseason, before the draft, during the draft, even after the draft, the free agent market for quarterbacks, it's just really picked clean. And you guys got to tell me in the comments if you are truly happy with Mason Rudolph as your number one quarterback. I mean, I don't know if I would be, especially with all the money spent on DK Metcalf, for all the warts of Aaron Rodgers. If you can get good Aaron Rodgers, does he improve the team even a little bit for this upcoming season? Because after having 10 wins last season, that little bit of oomph to get over the hump just a little bit meant the difference between winning that wild card game and losing it to the Ravens. A lot of you also seem to think that you're fed up with Mike Tomlin's coaching. But as a fan of the Bears, as primarily a Bears guy, I would absolutely love to have a coach that gets my team consistently into the playoffs year after year after year. And kind of speaking to that, we're still recovering from firing Lovie Smith after a 10-year season, after a 10-win season. That was a lot of years ago. Still trying to get it right. Might still have it right with Ben Johnson, but kind of look at it from that different perspective. Kind of hesitate before you're running Mike Tomlin out of town. I don't know. That's just my perspective. You guys let me know. But talking about this meeting with Aaron Rodgers with Mike Tomlin, this is exactly what he had to say. We had a really productive day. He's been in this thing a long time. I've been in this thing a long time. But there's no substitute for intimacy and spending time together and getting to know one another in a non-competitive environment. So that was really good. But I don't have any new updates in terms of what the process is. We'll see where it leads us. And then he actually reiterated at the league meeting about Aaron Rodgers' timeline. So his time to make a decision. So I'm just going to get to this final quote. I'm really comfortable with being unsettled at this time of year, to be quite honest with you. It's about talent acquisition. We've got two main means of acquiring talent, free agency and the draft. We multitask. We do both. Those needs that we fulfill in free agency, we do so there. And when we don't, we just fulfill it in the draft. I just learned over the years that at this time of the year, although day to day it could be somewhat uncomfortable, it's a process. I, for one, hope this process gets fast-tracked a little bit. I think there's got to be a certain point with Aaron Rodgers that enough is enough. Sign the contract or kick rocks. It just doesn't look like the Steelers are there yet. Appreciate you guys. I'll be here with Pittsburgh Steelers news on the daily, and we'll talk soon.